and my boss, my political boss, I was first in the Office of Economic Policy. Then I went over to the budget side, and I budgeted for all the organizations that were at that time Treasury Law Enforcement, which included the ATF,
Hmm.
Secret Service, the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, the Customs Service, especially the AIR program and the enforcement programs of the Customs Service, which are now ICE. Um, and these were all Treasury agencies before Department of Homeland Security was formed. And I wrote all their budgets. I wrote
Okay.
all their budgets.
Oh, that makes so much sense. I never thought of that.
Yeah, I wrote all their budgets, and I actually the first article I ever wrote was about Waco and Ruby Ridge.
Really?
Yeah, and I went out to dinner with the special agent in charge of the Houston office. His name was Phil Kanjaki, and he was the guy who planned the Waco raid. And
Wow.
that happened 6 months after I went and visited their Houston office.
Wow.
On a dog and pony show, they'd send you out there to see what all these programs were doing out in the field, and hopefully you look more positively towards them in the budget process. We really didn't have very much influence over that, but they either thought we did or were willing to hope that we might have some. So they were very deferential towards us. We could do anything we wanted, and it was fun going out on those junkets. But the ATF planned that raid because they wanted to look better in the budget. All of the Appropriations Committee chairmen, like Dennis DeConcini of Arizona, they're all left-wing, anti-gun, radicals, and so they were all very happy about, what the ATF they wanted. They supported the ATF. They supported the ATF.
Can I give you my brief description of what kind of the alt take is on that? Is Clinton, ATF. So when was ATF formed? It was under Clinton, right?
No, Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms.
Oh, no, what am I saying? Yeah, the Untouchables. What am I saying? Yeah, it's been around forever. But it was, I don't know, the kind of one of the theories is it was manufactured, and the Clinton administration needed like a moment of, like, a dramatic moment, a crisis, to justify. We got all these cults popping up. They're building, there's, Maxine Waters says the white men are in the woods with the guns. Like, we got to go get.
That wasn't it.
Okay. I agree with you. I never really fully bought that.
The ATF did target far right groups and individuals. Randy Weaver.
Yeah, I was going to say Ruby Ridge. Yeah.
Ruby Ridge. He was a sovereign citizen. He was a white separatist. He wanted to live alone in the mountains in Wyoming or Montana, and he didn't want to be bothered. And the way that whole thing went down was there was an undercover ATF agent who was trying to entrap him.
Yeah.
And he kept on begging him to get a sawed-off shotgun. And Randy finally got sick of listening to him begging to get a sawed-off shotgun. So he took a shotgun and just sawed off the barrel and said, "Here, take the damn thing. Here, there's your sawed-off shotgun." And then he was arrested, and that whole thing came out. And then he went back to his compound, and then the FBI came in and set up snipers. They shot his son's dog. So his son shot one of their agents, and then his son was shot, and then they shot his wife when she was standing by the door holding their 1-year-old baby. I mean, the whole thing was sick, but the ATF instigated that whole thing. And then the ATF also instigated the Waco raid. And the reason they did it was because they wanted to make a big splash in the budget hearings, because they would literally whine to us. The deputy director of enforcement of ATF would be on the phone with me and my boss, and he would literally whine like a baby that they weren't getting as good treatment in the budget process as ATF, as the FBI was. And ATF thought they were like another version of the FBI. And their statutory enforcement authority was actually much narrower. But they thought they were the big gun enforcement agency, and they felt they should be getting more money, and it wasn't fair that they weren't getting that. So they wanted to launch something, a big splash, that would an attack on a compound of a gun nut cult, and take them down, and it backfired on them. And they had an agent inside, and the agent inside told them, don't attack head on, because they'll fight you. Just David Koresh goes into town every week to go to the hardware store. Just pick him up at the hardware store.
Yeah, the sheriffs were on a first name basis with him. They would
serve a warrant so that you can go in and see if they're converting, because the only statutory authority the ATF had with regard to the compound, even though David Koresh was a pretty sick dude.
Doesn't mean they all had to be torched alive.
What's
right, and also, they didn't have the statutory authority to go out there. They said, well, he's having sex with young kids and all this. It could well have been true, but the point is that they didn't have the statutory authority to go after that. They were just making it sound really bad so they could rationalize what they were planning to do, because what they really wanted to do was make a big splash so that all the appropriators would say, oh, well, we need to give them more money. And that's really what it was all about, because they could have very easily just picked him up in town and served a warrant and gone right in there peacefully and checked to see if, as was alleged, they were converting semi-automatic weapons into fully automatic weapons, which is illegal. It's a violation of the National Firearms Act, which they do enforce. So that would have been the right way to go about it. But instead, they made this big splash, and then the whole thing devolved from there, ending in that unfortunate, 6-month standoff, but the whole place burnt to the ground. It was just awful.